Okay, so I thought to talk about one aspect of our trip. There was a lot going on, but this is just one thing. Okay, so during the tour or the pilgrimage that we did after the conference, we went to visit the patriarch of the Chuje order, which is the largest order of Buddhists in Korea. And he had just been appointed or elected, I believe. And it was, I think, because we were on a pilgrimage and it was requested by some high-up people that we got to see him. But it was very interesting. We went in the room and he was sitting on the floor, not on a cushion. The floor was a hard floor. He was sitting on the floor, and there was a large table, and so we prostrated, and then we sat down. And he, just said a few words, and then I asked him if he could say something that would help us in our Dharma practice. And he said, you already know how to practice, you just need to do it. But he didn't say it in that way, but that was the meaning. Okay, and he was completely right. And then he went on, and he held up his hand, and he said, this is a finger, and that's a finger, and we have these 5 fingers, and we have the palm of our hand, we have the back of our hand, but they are all the hand, so why are you discriminating against them, or discriminating them, okay? So remember, this is Chan, this is Zen, so I wasn't expecting it to make literal sense according to Prasangika philosophy, okay? Because the Zen people are not literal about that. So while he was doing that, the way I heard it, my translation into Prasangika was the hand is designated in dependence upon the 5 fingers, okay? So they're related, but the fingers and the different sides of the hand are all, and the hand itself are all empty of inherent existence. So the part about don't discriminate was they all have the same ultimate nature, even though on the conventional level they're different. Okay, so that's my translation from Chan to Prasangika. Yeah, and because I know the first time when I was in college, I knew nothing about Buddhism, and they gave us, one of the classes I took, some book, maybe, I don't know if it was Alan Watts or what, but it was some Zen book. And I read it, I didn't write it, I read it, and I said, I don't get this. Put the book down. Okay, so then years go by, then I met the Tibetan tradition, and it was like, oh, now I get it. Yeah, and then interestingly, one of my Zen friends told me that I was like a Zen master in how I gave talks sometimes, which I thought was rather odd. But anyway, he was convinced that it was like that. But I'm finding now that I understand Prasangika better, and I have a little bit more understanding of the Chan perspective on Tathagatagarbha, that now I'm maybe getting able to translate some of the meanings, but still uncertain. Anyway, that was my translation of that particular thing. And then he did this, he put his finger, in front of his eyes, and he said, if you put your finger here, and you gaze in the distance, your finger is taller than, that tall mountain over there. And that is a matter of perspective. Okay, because it's true. I mean, put your finger there, and it's like, my finger is bigger than Ananda. It's bigger than the mountains, hills over there. Okay, and so it made me think a lot about this thing of perspective. Yeah, and he gave another analogy a little later on, which relates to perspective, because he was talking about nature, and when you walk in nature, if you see a pond and there's fish swimming in it, which there was at one of the temples that we visited, one person looks and says, "Oh, what a nice fish, swimming freely and happily in the pond." And another person looks at the fish and says, "Oh, that's a nice, tasty meal." So again, it depends on perspective. Yeah? I usually translate this as the pickpocket sees pockets. Yeah, because whatever your orientation is, that's what you see in so many situations. We come with our little periscope with its tiny little filter that is that says me, I, my, mine, my assumptions, my preconceptions, what I believe, and that is through how we see the universe and other people and everything. So I was reflecting a lot on that when we got back in the bus, because so many of our communication problems in the world happen because we're looking at things from different perspectives, and we don't understand that that's what we're doing, or we do understand it, but we don't respect the fact that other people can have different perspectives than we can. Instead, there's only one correct perspective, which happens to be, of course, mine. Okay? And so if we look around even our community, how many disputes or disagreements arise because we have different perspectives on things. Okay? We go to work in the forest. One person thinks, "Oh, this is a time to be silent and just work." Another person thinks, "Oh, this is a time to be outdoors and talk with the other people I'm working with." Yeah? And so you have a disagreement, because some people are talking and other people look and go, "Shut up over there." Well, they don't say that. They know not, they're not supposed to say that. We're Buddhists. We don't say shut up, even when we mean shut up. Yeah. Instead, we say, "Oh, this is a good time to be silent and observe our minds." That's what we say. Okay, but it means shut up, doesn't it? Okay? When we're angry and, if we're cherishing our own perspective more than others people's, then, when they have a different perspective, we have a right to be angry because they're not seeing things correctly. How that gives us a right to be angry, I'm not sure, I don't understand, but anyway, that somehow makes some kind of logic to the self-grasping mind and the self-centered thought. Okay, but, just to reflect, because we always joke in the community about where you put the spatula in the kitchen, because there was a time at the Abbey where you put the spatula was a big deal, and if you didn't put it away, you were told very soon and very clearly, never to put the spatula there. It goes here, okay? And then, so the kitchen for a while, some people were having difficulty working there, okay? Because they had a different perspective of where the spatula belonged. And they put it there, and then other people couldn't find it. But again, this is just, this whole thing happened, which I love to joke about because it's such a teeny tiny thing that became so important. It was a metaphor for I am right and you are wrong and you must change, okay? Which we spread to everything in our environment, So we don't like the schedule, we don't like the chanting, we don't like how the kitchen is done, yeah? But this is all a matter of perspective. And if we can see that it's not a question of the right and wrong perspective, it's a question of people having different perspectives. Different does not mean that one's right and one's wrong. Okay? And so can we respect that people have different perspectives and different ideas? It doesn't mean one is right and one is wrong. And sometimes it's helpful, to stretch our minds a little bit and think, well, let's try looking at this according to somebody else's perspective, because I might learn something if I do. Yeah? And that is good to stretch our mind so that we can see beyond our own nose. Yeah, our nose, well, I have a big one, so I can see further than you. So you listen to me, okay? Because I can see further in front of my own nose. Okay. Then he also, the patriarch, was also an artist, and he created, there were pools of water out in front with fish swimming in them, and it had some of his artwork on the bottom, and he also designed these scarves. He made many scarves. I think they all had different designs, but it's quite beautiful, huh? And so I thought they are just the right size as katas. They're like Korean katas. So, we can fold them in half and use it as a kata and put it around a picture or a tonka, okay? So, So whoever is in charge of doing that in the Abbey, I don't know what your rota schedule is on putting katas on tonkas. I'm sure there's a rota somewhere about this. But whoever is on it can decide where it goes, okay? Then, as we were leaving, the idea popped into my head that it would be very nice to have a memento from him indicating like the auspicious occasion of Buddhism coming from Asia to the West. And I thought, oh, that's a nice idea. And then I thought, it's going to take a lot of gall to ask that, because nobody else is asking for that. Who am I to ask the patriarch for a memento? But then I thought, if I miss this chance, then I've missed something. Yeah. So I don't know what I did with my gall, but isn't there a gallbladder? Okay, so it got put in my gallbladder, and instead I just asked him if he could give a memento to indicate, the transmission of Buddhism to the West. And so he looked puzzled for a moment, but then he went into his room, and he came out with this bowl. And he said it was one of his bowls, and it's very obviously something that has been used, okay? But I thought that was very auspicious, do have something. So we can, if we want to, use it as one of the offering bowls and put offerings and make offerings to the three jewels, okay?